Join me in this video where we take a look at a very nourishing practice that's really going to address pain in the abdomen, pain in that soft belly area, and the pain can be emotional pain, build up with some trauma to the area, or just chronic pain in the hip abdominal area. So this is a really great practice to address that and to start releasing any of the pain in that area. So we're going to use bolsters and blankets and belts for this practice. If you don't have those things, you can use what you have on hand. So you can use, couch bolsters with blankets, or stack blankets on top of each other too. So I'll show you how it's done with these props. So I hope you like it. Okay, here we go. So first I'll put two bolsters on each other like that, and I want the top bolster to curve over the bolster on the bottom here. So can use a belt around my thigh. And I want the edge of this bolster to be right at my shoulders. So here I move around until I can lay down. So maybe I have to try a couple different spots until you find that place where you can lay down here, head on the blanket, and shoulders just off of the bolster. So I put on a timer, and you can set your timer for about 3 minutes. So after we've done this practice for about 3 minutes, we'll go ahead and sit back on our bolster. And wrap the belt around the feet like this. So that you have the belt around the hips and then around both feet, like that. So I start releasing by laying on the bolster in Bandha Sarvangasana, and I'll start a Setu Bandha series to release this area of the belly, release the pain, any trauma, any emotional trauma that's just really, coming up and causing a lot of disturbance. So this pose is a nice pose to release all that. Like this, so that the edge of my shoulders will be at the edge of the bolster. And then a blanket for my head. And here, I'm going to use this belt on my toes. So I'm going to have my feet hip widths apart and place the belt on each toe and lay back. So palms facing up. So in this version, you want to have the bolster on the mat and the blanket for your head, and you want your shoulders to be on the blanket. So the shoulders are just off the bolster. So we'll lay back down here, use our belt around the thigh. And we're going to lay back, feet on the blocks, and adjust our props how we need them. So bring the bolster a little forward, feet on the blocks, and open the chest here and release the abdomen. So inhale through the nose, release the eyes, the ears, the throat. Here I'll measure one block against the wall, and one block will go right underneath my sacrum. So it's right here. So I don't want it on my lower back or too low, but just right here on this sacral area here. So again, I'm gonna use a block, a belt around my thighs, making sure that the buckle is not really touching my skin. So I have the belt here. Bring the feet to the mat to help you lift the pelvis and place the block there. I'm putting it in this highest setting, and then shoulders on the mat, and bring your legs to the wall here. And releasing the eyes, the ears, and the throat as you inhale and exhale through the nose. So allowing this area to release. Making sure that you're not collapsing the chest here. So if you start collapsing, go ahead and lift the chest and lift from the bottom of the shoulder blade. You go up through the body and push this clavicle area up towards the wall behind your head. So lift the chest, is that inner lift of the chest. Releasing all tension in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. And allowing this abdominal area to release. If you are familiar with the brain diaphragm, you can inhale and watch as the brain collapses into itself. So release as you inhale and release outwards as you exhale. So if you were to have someone holding the circumference of your brain like this, when you inhale, it releases in. When you exhale, it releases out towards the circumference of the brain. So inhale, release in, you feel a little more pressure. Exhale, you release the brain out into its circumference. Never a feeling of expansion or any tension. Just a release. So for this next pose, we're going to be looking at Setu Bandha just like we did with the blocks, and we're going to be adding a twist. And this twist is great for going a little bit deeper into abdominal area and to release tension there. So I come into the pose the same as I just finished. So I'm going to reattach my belt here. And measure it so that I'm near the wall. I'm grabbing my block, putting the block under the sacrum, and coming into Setu Bandha. So what I want to do here is I want to stretch the left side first. So I'm going to move to my right here.
So I want to move the legs and the hips, but not the shoulders. So bring the feet down onto the mat, keeping the shoulders where they are. I just move the hips to the right, and I place my feet on the block. Lifting the chest, breathing through the nose. After a few minutes, just bend the legs here, come back to center, and then go back into Setu Bandha in the center. Lift the chest, release the eyes, the ears, and the throat, and take a few breaths here in the center. And bend the legs and move the hips over to the left. And straighten the legs back in Setu Bandha to the left here, keeping the shoulders right at the center, so without moving the shoulders. Lifting the chest. Take a few breaths here in the middle, then bend the knees, remove the block, and remove your belt.
And for the final pose for this Setubandha sequence, we'll use the chair and some blocks to go even deeper into Setubandha. So I'm going to use 2 blocks for this one. And of course, I'm going to wrap the belt around my thighs. So I come near the chair here. And first I relax with my feet on the chair and just body onto the mat. Take a few breaths here, and since this is a practice to release pain and tension in the abdominal area, really start working on inhaling through your nose and releasing the eyes, the ears, and the throat. So inhale through the nose, release the eyes, the ears, and the throat. And then if you can think of this concept of releasing the brain diaphragm. So if you're not familiar with it, I'll talk you through it once, and then you can just imagine it at first, and eventually you start understanding how that ratio works.
So if I were to apply some pressure around the circumference of my head, I inhale and I apply more pressure. I exhale and I release the pressure. So inhale, add a little bit of pressure around that circumference of the brain. Exhale, release the pressure. And the way that I work this with my brain is with my breath, I inhale and the brain releases in, and exhale, the brain releases out. What you want to be careful here is that whenever you're releasing out, don't think of an expansion. An expansion maybe implies tension or a harsh movement, and this is more of a very gentle release versus any kind of tension or bulging out of the eyes or anything like that. So the eyes remain soft, ears soft, throat soft, tongue soft, and then have this imagery of the brain diaphragm working with the breath, and maintain sort of the release like that. Okay, so when I'm ready to get into the pose, I'm going to grab my first block, come to the edge of my chair here, lift my pelvis, and I have the first block right underneath the sacrum. And then I use the second block on its tallest height like this. So I push against the chair here, and I place this underneath my sacrum. So not the lower back or too close to the tailbone, but right on the sacrum. So you might have to adjust it a little bit till you get the correct spot. Okay, and then legs on the chair here, and really lifting the chest for Setu Bandha. So releasing the eyes, the ears, and the throat. And slowly releasing the abdominal muscles. After you're done about 3 minutes here, go ahead and bend the knees and remove the blocks, and then relax on your back for a few breaths.
I hope you enjoyed the practice. Setubandha is a very wonderful pose to release and to nourish and to start the healing process. So I hope that you enjoyed it, and see you in the next video.